Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ben's Book Club, as it used to be called, or Libby Reads with Ben Hobson. Welcome for a lovely evening with Amy, who is tuning in from what she described as beautiful, sunny Melbourne day.
It
And I'm
was. I'm
from,
not even lying for some of it.
and I'm in rainy, cloudy Brisbane. So we've sort of switched weather patterns today. But as is tradition with the club, if you're new here, you can see in the chat box everyone types in where they're from, where they're tuning in from, which is really fun because I think for authors it's really fun to see just how many people from all around Australia are reading your stuff. Um,
Yeah, amazing.
yeah, and I don't know whether you can see the person who's always in first up the top is Ian.
Ian from England?
Ian from England. He's our guy. He actually helps with the club in a few different ways. So,
Hi, Ian.
Ian, can you remind us, please, what time it is over there? Because I'm always so impressed. He stays up so late to read, is from my memory. Tracy, hello. Hornsby, Townsville. Welcome, everybody. Adelaide, Lynn, from one of my favorite places. Oh,
It's
yeah, see, my mum's saying, if my mum's here. My mum, ladies and gentlemen, Carol. Wet and cold and grey in Yarram. So Melbourne's sun didn't travel all the way down to Gippsland, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, it did get a bit dark towards the end of the day, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But we're really happy. We're so grateful that Amy has given us her time here tonight. I'll introduce Amy and we'll get into our chat about Amy's fantastic book. Um, Last month, Amy, we read Heather Rose's new book,
oh, cool, yeah.
A Great Act of Love. And it was funny at the end of that, I announced the next book. And so A Great Act of Love is set in cold 19th century Tasmania. And then I looked at the cover of this. It's like it's like I was on a journey coming back. Um, but Amy Taylor is a writer based in Melbourne, and her debut novel, Search History, was published by Allen and Unwin in 2023. And both of her novels, which is actually a huge accomplishment, are both currently in development to be adapted for the screen. Can we put our virtual hands together for Amy, please? I know virtual hands. Some people put little clap emojis in the chat. There you go. Thanks, Ian. See, Ian leads the way, I tell you. But Amy, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. I just love talking to book clubs and being able to talk freely without worrying about spoiling anything.
Yeah, how do you normally go with that? Like avoiding just giving the bit of the pitch, but without going into too much depth, right?
Yeah, I find it difficult and it feels like you're having a half conversation.
Yeah.
And you can tell sometimes when you're talking to like a mixed crowd where some people have read it and they've got burning questions and other people haven't. And it puts you in a really weird place.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do find it hard sometimes to not get too excited and give things away, especially if it's a book where there is stuff to be given away. Yeah. So what a
Well,
relief.
let me lead with this then, which I don't have planned to ask you this question, but let me lead. What is the most exciting thing about this book that you've wanted to talk about, but you haven't been able to speak about a lot yet? Like, what were you most excited about this book when it came out? You're like, man, I'm so stoked that I did this thing. What is it about this book in particular?
I always wanted to talk about the ending, um, because for me, the Greek
Mm,
tragedy theme that is woven through the story, a big part of that comes from the ending, which is the hand of God essentially taking the problem on the stage and just kind of wiping it off.
yeah.
Um, and that's a crude way to put it, because a character dies. But see, I almost hesitated then even just to say that because I didn't want to give it away. I'm so trained.
Can we ask guys, are we safe here? Can we talk about, we can, right? Everyone's read the book. You can talk.
Yeah,
Amy, you're
I think
fine.
we should just,
Let's
yeah,
go for it. Let's go for it. If you haven't read the book, just block your ears. We'll be all
yeah.
right.
And I just loved when I was writing the book, I really loved playing around with that idea. But I did feel also that there would be a lot of people that felt like maybe the ending had cheated them a little bit and that it had
Really?
too abruptly taken care of the problem. But I wanted to tell the world that that's exactly what I was trying to do, because that's what happens in Greek
Very
tragic theatre most
interesting.
of the time, is that hand of God, or there's this problem that just simply cannot be solved. And then in actual Greek tragic theatre, it would be like the figure of God wheeled out on a crane or something, who would come and just kind of say that everything was fine now.
Mm.
Um, and so yeah, that's probably the part that I wanted to talk about the most, is just that ending,
Yeah.
and to hear
And just
what other people
going,
thought of it.
yeah, I meant for it to
There
be
was
that
something,
way.
yeah. There was something behind it, yeah.
Yeah. Is that like where the sort of the interweaving of Medea sort of started, or was that a different sort of inspiration? Or did you go, I'm writing in this vein, and so I layered it through the story thematically? Where did that particularly land for you?
Yeah, Medea, I was aware of that play long before I even had the idea to write a story like Ruins. And I just remember I was getting into the headspace of it being a tragedy, and how I could convey that through the themes and things like that. And I just recalled that play about being about a woman who was in such a desperate situation that she had to do something quite drastic to get
Yeah.
herself out of it, and super controversial play. But
Yeah.
that energy of somebody trying to get themselves out of a situation that they're in through drastic measures was something that I felt related quite strongly to Lena as a character.
Mm.
Um, because she is essentially trying to engineer herself a different life through Emma and Julian. And so I thought about that play a little bit, and I thought, oh, yeah, there is a little bit of a relationship there between those two ideas. And I wonder if I could bring it into the story. And I thought it would be more interesting if it was Emma who was kind of
Mm.
reading that play, or engaging with those themes. But then it's Lena who, in a way, is living it.
Yeah, interesting. Very
Mm.
interesting. So it sort of was the story first, but then you sort of found this thing and found the thematic ties between the two things. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Um, so for everyone who's new to the Libby Reads book club with Ben Hobson, I am Ben, by the way. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. Um, what we love to encourage is actual audience participation. You can see in the chat there's a lot of people who are already writing some really great questions, but what we love to do is actually reward the best question of the evening by actually sending them a copy, a hard copy of Ruins. And so by the end of tonight, Amy's going to pick her favorite question of the day, and we will be winging this to you. So try your best to come up with, if you can make Amy laugh or whatever it is. I'm not sure what you respond to most, Amy, but we'll see. But I thought this question was actually a great one to start with. Let's talk about the ending, right? So from Anna Loy, she says, "Did you know you were always going to blow up their marriage before you started, or did you decide along the way?" And my question to that too was, were the seeds of the dissolution of it sown right from the start? Yeah, so where does this fall for you? Like, what was that the main inspiration? Where did you decide that particular event?
Um, I kind of knew it was going to be a sort of breakup novel before I started it, because
Hmm.
I didn't think that it could end in any other way. And I'd watched this film called The Loneliest Planet. Um, and that's not necessarily a recommendation, because I can't remember if I genuinely really liked the film or not, but it had this element that has stuck with me forever, and I still think it's very cool. And so the film basically follows a couple who go backpacking through Georgia, and they get held up at gunpoint. And in the moment that the gun is pulled on them, the man in the relationship kind of pulls his wife in front of him like a human shield instinctively.
Hmm.
And then from that moment onwards, they get out of the situation and everything. But from that moment onwards, the relationship is doomed, because she's thinking like, I can't trust you, because
Hmm.
you just showed who you really are
In the moment of
in that
like
moment.
desperation, yeah.
And I just love the idea of something happening to a relationship that cannot be undone, that changes the way that they interact and their future together as a couple forever from that point
Yeah.
onwards.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so then, yeah, kind of as I was uncovering this idea for the story of Ruins, I had that in the back of my mind of like some what could happen that can't be undone, at least not, easily. It can't
Mm.
be undone, and that you don't really have full control over. um that just sets your relationship basically up to fall apart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so I
that
knew
that
from the start.
so like pivotal moment, but from there it sort of spelled this slow sort of peeling away from each other, right?
Mm,
Um, there's a movie I saw, and I think it was a remake of a French film, and it had Will Ferrell and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, but it's the same thing where I think they're in Switzerland somewhere, and they're at a ski lodge, and they're out there with their children outside on the deck, and there's this huge avalanche, and the sirens start to sound, and everyone's going to die. So Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character grabs the kids and shields them. And before she can even look up, Will Ferrell's characters run inside and shut the door on them.
I think I've seen that. I can't
Yeah.
remember what that is, but that
I can't
sounds
remember
really
the name of
familiar.
it. If
Yeah.
anyone knows what the name of that film, I think it was a remake of like a French thing, but it is so funny because it did that moment, like he apologizes and I
Yeah,
wasn't thinking, oh, and he sort of tries to excuse it, but
you
there's no
can't.
going back. It like
Yeah.
fundamentally sort of corrupts it. And was for you that was, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but for you in Ruins, I keep going to say the Ruins, in Ruins, it was the moment of not even the miscarriage, but more his desire from that miscarriage to have children and her clear decision not to. That was more
Mm.
that pivot point for you.
Yeah, so that's the first pivot point. Yeah, and then I just had so much fun just piling on the pivot points from that point onwards. So just more and more things to pull
Yeah.
them apart
You were
along the way, and
really
like how.
that one part, there's lots about this book I love, but that in particular, I thought you did extremely well because it never felt, it was such a subtle thing you did. Like, I think it would have been perhaps a little easier to just make these big dramatic things, but it was almost like the fundamentals of who they were or even what they wanted just slowly shifted. And so it was like, it felt to me like a mirroring of like a real relationship in that you almost don't even notice the pulling apart thing
Mm,
that happens.
mm.
Um, did you like how much did you spend on sort of charting that through it? Did you sort of map out how they would have those little incremental divisions, or do you, as a just a general question as well, do you really map things out a lot, or do you fly by the seat of your pants and just feel it as you go through it?
I think with this book, the first piece that came through as something that I felt that, excitement and heat about writing, um, was the idea of the situation with Lena falling pregnant.
Yeah.
So that came first, and then I built the story around that. So I know writers often talk about characters walking into their mind fully formed and things like that, but that in this case, it was really mechanical. It was like I had this
Wow,
plot point,
really?
and then I built. Yeah, yeah. It was the opposite. Truthfully, it was
Wow,
like
okay.
I had set the table of the story, and then I just thought about who did I want to bring to that table, and who would I find the most interesting to be at that table, and that's how Emma and Julian were constructed, and I worked backwards from that point to try and set that up to be,
That's interesting.
yeah.
I've never like you're right, and I don't know how much I believe in the whole the character was saying words to me, but being led by character choice and sort of letting them guide your decisions. But that's really interesting to think about. You had the perfect story, and then you just came up with the most interesting versions of people who would fit inside the story. I don't think I've
Mm.
ever heard of it going. I've done a lot of these. I don't think I've heard of other
Yeah, I
other
know.
writers
I,
doing
I
that.
was surprised too. And the experience that I had writing that book was so incredibly linear and just,
Really, from A
yeah,
to
just kind of from start to finish. Um,
well, I want to actually, sorry, on that, I wanted to actually ask you about the process from your debut search history and sort of what the creativity and the creation of that particular project was like. And then did it change for you, the actual writing process when you started to tackle ruins? Was it the same process to you or did it change?
I think it changed massively. I think with search history, I had no idea what I was doing for a long time. And
Hmm.
it was really messy. And at times, for the most part, it was character led by the character of Anna. And then I was trying to create a story with her. Like, and then there was so much back and forth and writing chapters that I just tore up at some point. And it was really, really messy. And I think because of that, when it came to writing Ruins, I had gone through that process with search history and I thought, let's just try and make this a bit tidier this time, a bit easier, a bit cleaner.
Yeah.
And that's what I set out to do.
You know, a lot of authors think like that, and then they just end up making a whole other mess again. But you
Yeah.
you actually changed your process, which is pretty incredible.
So I planned it a bit more and I was quite yeah, it sounds soulless in a way because people talk about like inspiration hitting them in all these fantastical ways and stories and characters and things, but I was incredibly mechanical about this story and about the elements of it and how I wanted it to unfold. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know whether I understand what you mean. Like it sounds like when you're that methodical about it, it's like it's not a living, breathing thing. It's like a machine, right? But I don't
mm,
know, there's something so elegant about the decision-making process and pre-thinking through exactly the story you want to tell as well, so that it's elegantly told. Um, I don't know. I feel like it certainly didn't feel the way you're describing, you know, on the opposite end as a reader, it felt very true to character. Like I didn't feel like they were pawns being moved around for the plot's sake. It felt like they were actively making choices. You know what I mean? It didn't have
yeah,
yeah, it didn't feel
yeah.
mechanical on the other side of it.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm
Yeah.
glad.
Um, has this always been a thing for you? Have you always been a big reader and a big writer as well?
Yeah, I the classic used to read a lot as a kid, used to write stories as a kid. Somewhere during my journey being educated at school, lost the confidence, stopped doing it. It wasn't cool or whatever the reasoning was.
Or a teacher
Um,
gave you a D?
yeah,
My mum can talk about that in the chat, guys.
yeah, something like that happened. I was no good at grammar, really bad. Used to get pulled up for that a lot. And then found it again at a time when I think I was 27 or
Hmm.
28. I started writing again for pleasure, just writing fiction. Um, and
Can I just stop? Sorry, can I put
yeah,
what brought that on? Like that's just on a lark, you thought, I'll sit down and write a short story. What prompted it, I guess.
I was really not enjoying the job that I had at the time. And
Mm,
I remembered when I was a small child and I would write stories in my bedroom and I would reach that flow state that they call it, has different
yeah,
names, but
yep,
some people call it the flow state, where you're
yep.
just enjoying yourself so much, you're so immersed that time just flies by and it loses all meaning and you're just fully focused on what you're doing and enjoying yourself. And I had heard about that concept and I had thought, when have I experienced that in my life? And I remembered that that's what it felt like to write stories when I was a little kid. And I just
Wow.
said, well, I wonder if it still feels like that. And I tried it and it did.
Oh, that's
So then I
incredible.
kept doing it.
And you
Yeah,
recaptured
I'm
that
so
feeling.
glad that I made it was such a random decision to do that, but I'm so glad that I did.
And then, sorry guys, we will get to some more of your questions, but I'm just really wondering from that first moment of inspiration to play and flow and do the thing that you know, rejuvenating that dream you had as a child and just playing and having fun writing. When did that then turn into, oh, I've got something I want to start to show people. I want to actually send it out. I want to have a novel published. How long did it take to get to that particular part?
yeah, a fair few years. Yeah, I started, I think the turning point was I was working on, I'd started various novels of different genres and stuff, and I was just having fun. And then I started trying to write short stories because somewhere along the way, someone told me that getting a short story published helps get, interest
Yep.
from agents and things like that.
Yep. Yep.
So then I
That's what I
thought I'd
heard
have a
too.
go at that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to look at it in hindsight of how it all happened, but it happened over so many years, and it's such just there would have been so many decisions along the way that I would have made that I just didn't think about at the time. But I remember starting to write short stories, and that's when I first started trying to get published.
Mm.
And then I changed the first chapter that I had started working on for search history into a short story, and entered it into a competition that Ultimo, the publisher, had run, and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
selected
ultimate.
it. And I was very sneaky, actually. I put in my bio because they were going to publish it in an anthology, and they said we need a bio. And I
Hmm.
said, okay, my bio reads Amy is a writer based in Melbourne who is currently working on a novel. um, and yeah, that anthology landed on an agent's desk, and that agent saw that bio and reached out to me. So
You sneaky. You game the system. Well done. Yep, that's very smart of you.
yeah, so I guess that would have been the moment when I started. Oh, and I was also I participated in the mentor program through Kill Your Darlings, and I was partnered with Emily Bitto,
Oh, wow.
and
Okay. Yeah, she's great.
she's wonderful, and she read my
She's right here.
yeah, there she is.
Yeah.
She read my draft of search history and gave me a lot of really, really generous notes and spent a lot of time with that. And that also gave me the encouragement to see if I could get it published. Yeah,
That's
I think,
huge. Having people in your corner like that is massive.
yeah, that was a big, big piece of the puzzle for me. I think just having another writer read my work and give me encouragement, huge.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's an isolating thing. It can feel like I've said to a few people, it can feel like you're outside a party and everyone's in there having a good time and you're just on the door banging and like, I'm cool, guys. I promise. I've got something cool here. And no one opens the door. No one even
Yeah,
listens. And so when you finally get that person, like Emily, I guess for you, who listens, it's incredible.
yeah, yeah. And the high of getting published, I feel like I'm coming a bit full circle now where I've gone, you do it for the love of it, and then you start to get positive feedback, and then you get a little bit addicted to the idea of getting published and all that kind of stuff. And then you
Yeah,
have to go all the way back and find the love for it again.
100%. I have my my third book was that for sure. I had the first two books were written just as this passion thing, but then I got locked into, like you say, I was trying to write to get reviews and do all that. I wrote a whole book and then no one liked it. It wasn't very good. It fell apart. And then I went back to, I essentially gave up. I was like, I'm not going to be a writer anymore. That's it. My career, you know how writers go down
Mm,
in the dumps
yeah,
about rejections.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then I eventually got back to the point where I was like, I did write that one thing and it was weird and I loved it. And you know what? To end on the high note, I'm just going to finish that. And so I found the love again. I found the thing that I liked. And lo and behold, that was the next thing that I had published. It's funny that, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was at Charlotte Wood that said the thing about the heat. She termed it the heat, where you follow the heat wherever what you're writing is making you excited and keeping your interest. Just keep following that.
Mm.
Forget about
Is that in,
everything else.
I think I have a book on the shelf. Is that in Luminous Solution?
Yeah,
I do have that book.
I heard her talk about it in an interview, but it could be in that.
Yeah, she's got a book on creative writing. What's
Very
the thing?
wise.
What's the thing for you then? Could you put a name to what the passion is or the heat, or could you put a name to that for you? What's the thing that drives you?
I'm just obsessed with creating like funny little scenarios and having fictional characters talk to each other. And I love making characters argue. I don't know, it's sick. It's weird, but I love it. I just love that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
fictional worlds, and for me it's I really get into the I really like getting into the nitty-gritty of like psychoanalyzing them. Like what
Mm,
would they say though? Like how would they genuinely feel? And becoming almost like a therapist to this idea of this fictional character. It's like what in their life would make them think that and then react that way and then say this piece of dialogue. The follow through of all of that. I love just creating fictional people and making them have arguments and disagreements and that kind of stuff.
that's all. The fun thing about that too is when they're psychoanalyzing themselves or even unpacking their own motivation, a lot of the time they'll be getting it wrong, which is, I think, really
Yeah.
interesting. Like what's really underneath, but then what's here, and then what they say is almost another level sometimes in argument as they're masking. That stuff's really
Mm,
fun. Yeah, you
it's
seem like
so fun.
you're super into, like, I like how you talk about it because you seem like really interested in ideas and character. But at the same time, it feels like you're still doing that thing that you were doing as a kid. It feels like you're just playing and having fun. And it's almost like ramming Power Rangers into each other a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly like that. Yeah. But then I also really I love reading a book that I can't put down. And I love when the stakes are relatively high. Um, so when I write, I'm trying to balance the characters and the plot at the same time because I'm drawn to the depth of character, but I also love not putting a book down, and I know that that's how I want to read. So I assume that
Mm,
other people want to read like that too. So
yeah. Well, yeah. I think, yeah, absolutely spot on because I enjoyed reading Ruins. Um, Speaking of the title too, we'll turn. Sorry, I've been hogging Amy, guys. I'm sorry. Marlies has a question here about the title. Did you always have the same title? It's so good, and I think really added to the tension. So, yeah, tell us about the title. Was that always the thing?
yeah, that came in really early, and it's wonderful that that happened because it did feel like a sort of North Star for when I was writing the story as well, because I knew that it was a book where everything falls apart. Um,
Mm,
and so it just felt right. And there were times when sometimes when you're choosing the title of a book and you Google it and you realize there are 70 other books already titled that, or, one word is always risky because it's not, super unique.
but yeah,
And I knew all of that, but I knew that I had to keep it anyway. And I think literally a couple of months ago there was another book released called Ruins. But I don't care because I had to have that title and there's nothing I could do about it. It was just the right title.
that's what the
And
book is. Yeah,
yeah, anything else may have worked but wouldn't have felt right. And
that's fair.
yeah, with search history, it was the opposite. I didn't know what to call it. And by the end of it was too late because when you're trying to encapsulate something with a title
Yeah.
after it's something with so many like limbs and stuff going on that it's
Yep.
really hard. But if you can find the essence from the beginning and then have it the whole way through, it's so good. I hope it happens every time.
I've never had that happen, not a single time. And in fact, my agent had to retitle a bunch of mine because they were so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
search history wasn't my title, but it works really well. But
It
yeah,
does. It's pretty
it's
catchy.
hard.
It is. It's tough. Titles are tough. You've got to be literary, punchy, stand out while evoking the sense of the book and not be too, up its own butt. It's actually pretty
Hmm.
tricky to do. Um, Sorry, I really have to read this out from Elisha. I think this is a great little thing. Elisha said, "Oh no, I pushed my husband between me and a snake once, and he hasn't let me forget it."
I think it's a pretty normal response.
It is. Hopefully, he's just making fun of you for it, though, and not like holding an actual grudge, Elisha. That's funny. Thank you for sharing that. Um, Kim's question here, I think, is one probably we're all asking. I'll phrase it a little differently to Kim. It must have been so difficult to go on multiple research trips to write this book. Her question is actually, did you visit the area? The descriptions were also vivid. So, yeah, can you talk about that, particularly writing a different country?
Yeah, I went 4 times technically, but the first time I went, I didn't know I was going to write a book. set there, but I still count that time because
Absolutely.
yeah. But
Absolutely.
I think I came up with a good method actually. I went there, didn't know I was going to write a book. Yeah, I went there twice before I didn't know I was going to write a book. And then when I figured out that I was going to write a book there, I went back right at the beginning, um, and just had a very open-ended inspiration gathering trip where I just walked around and just absorbed everything I could, no direction, just let Athens show me Athens, essentially.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and that was really fun. And I went with my partner and his sister and her husband, so we had loads of fun. And then after I had, I think, second or third draft, I went back, and that's when I was walking down the exact streets that I had mentioned and checking out,
Yeah.
that everything made sense and that where they were,
Hmm.
if they were going to walk across the city, that they were going to end up in the right place or that it wasn't going to take them 2 hours or, all that kind of stuff. So
It's
yeah,
weird how much that matters in writing, hey? It's weird.
yeah, even if just for yourself, right? That
Yeah.
you need to know what makes sense.
My last book was set in the 19th century in Australia, and so I had horse riding.
Oh,
And so I was like Googling how fast can you ride by horse? How many, you know what I mean? It was so laborious. But
yeah,
how rich for you that you actually got to that's so cool that you did it first before the draft. And then you had the draft where things were set, but then you got to sort of double check it, right? You got to actually
yeah,
walk the streets and then were you on the lookout for little descriptions and things to throw
yeah,
in there? That's
yeah.
so cool. I
Totally
wonder,
mining the detail.
that's,
Mm.
yeah, well, I was going to talk to you about that because the book is so like I've never been to Athens. I've never been there at all, but I felt it was so vivid. The descriptions used. I wanted to talk to you about that. Like, it's one thing to go on a research trip, but then actually evoking that sense in prose. Like, I'm really interested in what on a sentence level do you aim at when you're doing these descriptions?
Mm.
Is there a feeling that you have, or is it
Yeah,
more, yeah, describe it if you don't mind.
yeah. It's like the right musical note, when you describe something and it just sings in
That's
your
well
head.
put. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just
Yep.
think that's right. That's it. That's how it feels or looks or tastes or smells or, whatever it is. Um, that's also why I love writing, because when that happens, you just feel like a god. You're like, I've just described something in a way that I believe is both poetic and people will get it. And
Yeah.
if you feel that when you're writing something, it's a high unlike anything else.
Can I ask, is it for you, is it the first draft and then you just put the pen or the keyboard down and you're like, I nailed it. It's perfect? Or is it no, no. I'm glad you're laughing. It makes me feel really good. So did because to me, it's rewriting that same thing to get it right, to find that note. Is that for you as well? Is it rewriting?
Yeah, I find some things come in the first draft just naturally and they'll stay there the whole way through, but then that's maybe 5% if I'm being generous. There'll be a few sentences here and there, or like we said, you'll describe something and you'll think perfect, no notes. That will stay. But for the most part, it's just like clanker after clanker of sentence that I know I'm gonna have to go back and like do some serious work on to bring it up to the level. And then that feeling carries through, as I'm sure you know, like all the way through every single edit. You're still finding clankers, and
Yeah,
you're like, "But I thought
100%.
I'd sorted this." It's yeah, and then you hand it back, and you'll always feel like there was more that could have been done to it to make it better.
Yeah, yeah. There's a Metallica documentary I watched once where Lars Ulrich was talking about like, is an album ever finished? Like, when's it finished? Like, we still rewrite the songs as we play them. We've played them for 20 years. We're still getting them right. Like, is it ever really done?
Yeah.
Um, so I'm inspired by that sort of thing. But then I read, um, have you ever read Marilyn Robinson? Do you know that author?
No.
So I read an interview with her about her books, and she releases one book every 20 years, essentially. And then
Yeah.
she says, because I asked her about this process of rewriting, and she said, "Oh no, I write it correctly the first time."
Oh, okay, so it takes 20 years. Gosh. I reckon that sounds about right. I reckon
Yeah,
that sounds about right because that's probably for me that'd be like a sentence a week or
yeah,
something like a sentence
yeah.
a day.
Can you
If I'm
imagine just every day doing one word and like, that's just I
Yep.
got that
Oh,
one.
that's it. Yeah, that's the right
That's
word.
there, yeah.
And then you write the next one and it's wrong and you go, okay, and you walk away from your desk.
Give up for a year. I'll return to this later when the muse.
That's really beautiful though, the idea of the care that she probably puts into to her mental process before she puts the words down on paper. That's what I would imagine that is.
Yeah, well, she's strange. And so I do say, so she had one book that won a heap of awards, and then it was 25 years, and then she released another book, which was called Gilead, and it was an amazing book. It was such a beautiful book. It's about an old pastor reflecting of his life and leaving a legacy to his son. It's beautiful writing. But then she released like four books within the span of like maybe 3 or 4 years, and they were all on that story from different perspectives.
Whoa.
It's like she wrote a series after 25 years of nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's so interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
that's cool. She
one of,
nerded out.
one of Barack Obama's favorite authors, Marilyn Robinson. Yeah. You know how you used to have that book club?
Yeah, yeah, the list.
The big list, yeah. Imagine making it on that list. Um, Anna Loy has a question here about the movie and the potential of the adaptation, but she has a comment as well for you. She says the characters were so well written. I was angry at Emma for being so reckless and felt sorry for Julian
Mm.
until he fell for, and I think you pronounced it Lena.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's my
hard.
wife's name as well, because she's
Lena.
Lena. Yeah, so I've always said Lena.
I don't mind either way.
Yeah, and then Darius scared me every time he appeared, even before he spoke. And so, first question for you, just anything on the film adaptation would be great. But then the next thing I want to hear from you is maybe, were you more of a fan of certain people in the book? Because I feel like the book is a real litmus test on a person. Like, who do you sort of side with more? Do you understand both? You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
movie and then maybe some character reflection from you, please.
Yeah, what was there a question about the movie or just
Just
general?
were you involved, if there's is there a script? Were you involved in the movie script writing, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'm not involved in the script writing. Yeah, I don't know if I would like to get into screenwriting, but at the time that that was that the movie interest was all unfolding, I was 39 weeks pregnant, and so the idea of signing up to write a screenplay, and no one asked me to do that either. No one asked me to write the screenplay. But if I'd wanted to, I could have exerted a little bit of power and got myself the job. But I just had no idea whether I could or not, and didn't seem like the right job to take right before you have a baby. So they've got a writer now. Took a little while to find one, and they've got someone they're happy with, but it's Hollywood. And if there's one thing I know now is that basically, it's really, really hard to get anything made, and there are a lot of pitfalls along the way. And it's like I was explaining the idea of getting a book adaptation deal as being something so fun and exciting and just torturous because
Mhm.
it's like this amazing golden carrot that just dangles in front of you and it's like will it get made or won't it get made,
Mhm.
will it survive the process of development and actually become something, or will it be like the 90% of projects that don't, and as somebody who has absolutely no control over the circumstances or the situation, I just have to kind of be like, I hope so, and then forget about it as often as I can. But I still, sometimes when I'm falling asleep at night, I imagine going to the premiere and things like that.
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome?
But
Imagine.
I don't know what will happen.
So fingers crossed though, hoping.
Yeah, there's a lot of enthusiastic people involved, and it has got a lot of things going for it because it's got some talent attached and a
Yeah,
screenwriter
okay.
now and studio financing and producers and stuff.
Yeah,
So
so rolling
that's
that boulder up the hill is actually happening. That's amazing. That sounds like it's
yeah.
getting closer.
Hopefully, we'll see. Takes
Yeah,
years as well, which is unfortunate because you would hope that it's just like, out
the
next
same
year.
time.
That's what you would hope.
Yeah, but at the same token too, if it takes a little bit of time, then Ruins can come back into the bookshops and have the movie tie-in cover and people
Yeah,
rediscover it, you know. Uh,
amazing. Yeah.
Before you answer the question motivation, I just really wanted to read this to you because Angeline has written something great, but we sort of answered her question. But um, so Angeline wrote, "Hi Amy, I loved Ruins and loved your writing style. Thank you. You did an amazing job writing about the complex dynamics of marriage, sexuality, relationships, and parenthood, and the effects of those when a couple's wants don't align. Somehow, throughout the messiness of the whole situation, you made it clear that Emma and Julian considered each other's feelings and communicated with each other. I felt that they were both healthy and dysfunctional at the same time." I agree. Like that's Angeline, that's really well put. But what was that like for you, perhaps, in striking the balance there of they felt so real because they still loved each other. They weren't just something happened, they're off and hate each other. It was like they love, but they're also not aligned. It was such a
Hmm.
complex pivot point. So, are you able to speak to that at all and capturing that in your writing?
Yeah, that was something that I'm very conscious of that I try really, really hard to do, and is that I try to make characters as fully formed in the sense that they would inhabit self-righteousness, but then self-loathing afterwards, all the things that we would feel when we argue with people that we love as well, that you
Mm,
would say something because in the moment it feels like you should, feels like it's justified, and then afterwards you kind of go into that self-loathing spiral of, oh, but they do this and that, and so I never want to make characters too one-dimensional. If I can ever help it, I want them to have as many angles as I can, and I want those different elements and motivations and conflicting ideas and all of that messiness that every human has. I want that to kind of be seen and be read
mm,
in
mm,
what they say and how they act, because I find human beings fascinating because of that reason.
mm,
And I believe that if I find humans fascinating because of that reason, then characters will be fascinating because of the same reasons.
mm.
Um, and actually, on that note, it made it really hard to write people like Darius, and even Lena to a certain extent, because their motivations had to remain a mystery, and that took a large chunk of who they are and made it unavailable for me to talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
so
you
I
wanted to.
couldn't give
Yeah.
them the same stage presence and depth as I gave Emma and Julian, which is was hard too, because I wanted to. And at one point, there was a version that had some chapters written from Darius's perspective and things like that, but it just didn't work for the story. And it wasn't right for it was my own thing that I was trying to do. Um,
Mm,
and I had to just let it go. So yeah, it's very much something that I'm super conscious of, is trying to make people both likable and unlikable, and have lots of different angles that you can view them from. And I think
yeah.
that's it comes back. It seems to be reflected to me because people will say, I hated Emma, or I hated Julian, or I, did this. Or one of my friends actually sent me a text and it just said Darius hot.
Love
She
Darius.
was like, I love a bad boy. So I like that different people react to different facets of their personalities in different ways. That's kind of what I like about characters.
Yeah, and I think that maybe also goes to suggest that you've been pretty successful in creating a person who feels like a real, or character who feels like a real human being, right? That they do, there's complexities to them. It's not just black and white, they're good or bad. It's, you know, and sometimes we'll get along with some people and sometimes we won't, and that's okay. That's, we're all human beings, but the fact that we get to meet these characters and then we end up liking them or disliking them and people have this myriad of responses, I think it just suggests that they're actually three-dimensional, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I love hearing that. I love when people tell me that they didn't like a character because I think
yeah,
at least I've succeeded in showing that side to that person. And
yeah,
yeah, it doesn't bother me when people say things like that.
that's cool. I like that because that's a big thing. Sometimes books can get, or sometimes, I mean, I don't know if you partake in the old author flagellation of reading Goodreads reviews, but yeah, smart. You're very smart in that way. But so many of them say, "Oh, I don't like it, 1 star. I don't like the character, 1 star." So I think you can fall into the trap in your own head of creating likable characters. But I like
Mm.
that you make them real and not necessarily likable all the time, like a real person, right?
Hmm. I think
Yeah.
I would find it boring. I'd lose the heat, so to speak,
Yeah.
if I tried to make them too flat or likable would be the hardest because I don't even know how to make someone likable, really.
I know
I
they
would,
don't feel real. They don't feel like a person.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, I had a question for you about your take, perhaps, on sort of the idea of like a modern relationship and the idea of compromise and the way compromise can work in a relationship. Because to me, like a very loving thing in a relationship is that idea of sacrifice, right? I will put aside the thing that I want for your sake because I love you. I'll amplify what you want, and that's what happens in the book multiple times. Both of them, Julian and Emma, try their best to sort of work in with what the other person's perspective is on the relationship. And maybe things are unsaid and maybe they're not. But it was almost like through the book, it was almost like they couldn't sustain that. Like they ended up finding like I have to do me and I can't
Hmm.
just always compromise it. But I was interested in your idea about like a relationship and the idea of compromise. Like, is it possible to have like a healthy relationship and have people in the relationship, both of them compromising all the time what they want for the sake of the other?
Yeah. I think that that was a big part of what kept me so engaged with the story of writing Ruins was this idea that it's the ultimate compromise, right? Asking someone who doesn't want to have a child, or asking someone who does want a child not to have one. And
Yeah,
that's huge, huge bridge to gap. It can't, there's no middle ground. Yeah, so that to me, I think that
yeah.
healthy relationships are filled with compromise. But
Mm,
I think if you have to compromise all the time, then you're probably just not compatible.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
that's a
like
good
a
way of putting
matter
it.
of like, and then the decision would be, do you stay and live a life that's half of what you want, or do you go somewhere else and find something else? And that those are all the questions that I was kind of probing in the story as well, was this idea of when is it too much compromise, and when is it a matter of compatibility, and when are they doomed, when are you
Yeah.
just doomed, and can you undo that sort of doomed fate or not?
But
Yeah.
that like the question of having a fam or having a child, you're right, like there's such a fundamental thing, such a foundational change to a whole life, right? A whole marriage. And so if you're not aligned on that, it's almost like the book, both characters are trying their best to sort of not talk about that necessarily, but almost like make up for the idea that they don't want that. So they'll give extra to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
You
it's like
actually
you
you
know
actually kind of wrote a messy book. Like the characters are kind of messy, but you were talking about before it was so mechanical. But isn't that like a
Yeah. Well, no, because it makes perfect logical sense for the story. That's where
Mm,
the mechanical side comes in, because it was all about like, how do you take these two people that love each other and make it impossible for them to stay together? Like, what would it take? How can you keep pulling them apart through different facets of their life? And then what kind of plot line could you have that is like the final thing that just completely implodes everything?
mm.
And so every single element about their relationship, I crafted it manipulated it basically to pull them apart. Really, it was like the miscarriage, the not wanting kids, the wanting kids, the different ideas of ambition and career fulfillment. Like
Yeah,
even
that's so
bridging
smart.
that
Yeah.
to one person who thinks that it's all about achievement, and if you don't have this driving sense of purpose, how can you survive, versus someone who's kind of floating around going, well, isn't there something else, like that. Those
Yeah.
two people, even, that's such a difficult compatibility piece there. So yeah, it became messy because those two characters ended up having to be messy in the way that they were so different from each other and wanted different things. But the fact that they want different things was completely constructed by me so that it fit the whole kind of theme of the book, I guess.
Mm. It's really smart how you've done how you because I'm much more of like that messy, throw everything at the wall and see what's fun and see what I feel. But like I really admire the methodical way of thinking about all those different layers to amplify character psychology almost. It was like you're
Mm.
constantly prodding all of them, right? And testing out what they thought. It's really cool. I love it. Um, can I ask, what are you working on now? And have you actually taken that particular aspect of your craft into the next project as well? That is this a methodical book as well, or is it another Jackson Pollock throw paint at a canvas?
I don't think I'll ever go back to that. I don't think I can now. I know how it can be. I know
Mm,
how the process can feel. And I know a lot more about storycraft from the perspective of timeline and pacing and all of that sort of stuff as well now, that I don't think I could ever go into anything blind again.
mm,
I have a third book idea, and I it feels a lot like the process of Ruins, in the sense that I know exactly what's kind of happening and how it's going to happen. And I'm at that stage where I have the story, but actually I don't have the character fully formed again. So
wow.
right, right, like it was with Ruins, I'm in that position again. But of course, I have a 1 year old now, which changes my schedule a lot. Um,
Substantially, I would say.
so
Yeah.
I'm moving a lot slower. Yeah, and I'm deeply interested in screenwriting. So now I'm even playing around with the idea of writing a screenplay instead,
Wow.
just to try. Because we were talking about being a beginner and doing things for like the pure love of trying something.
Yeah, yeah, for
It's
sure.
giving me a bit of that again.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
when I write a book now, I have a rough idea that it'll probably be published if I finish it.
Yeah.
But I'm back to when I try and write a screenplay, I'm back to that kind of person that has no
Mm.
idea, what will happen and how it will go, and I'm enjoying being a complete novice again.
You're playing again.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm really enjoying that at the moment, and just having that glimpse into what it's like to have producers interested in you for a brief moment in time, and
Mm.
having meetings and stuff. That was very fun. And I wouldn't mind experiencing something like that again one day, maybe.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know.
imagine pitching on like an original idea and having your script sold and having talent attached and all that. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, I also wonder whether you can do it in reverse. Could you write a screenplay and then write the book afterwards?
I think I've heard of that happening. I think that book No Country for Old Men by
Hmm.
Cormac, he
Yeah.
wrote that as a screenplay and then no one wanted to make it. So then he wrote it as a book and he sold this rights to the book, which they then made a screenplay of and made it into a movie. This is
A
all over the
screenplay
place.
in a lot of ways feels a bit like an outline of a book in some ways. I'm sure people that screenwrite for a living would find that horribly condescending and really rude to say, but it does feel a little bit like a longhand outline of a book.
It's actually interesting, isn't it? Because you're not, because I don't know a lot about screenwriting myself, but I've seen what a script looks like and, I've dabbled here and there. But you're right, it's sort of like it's almost distilling the essence of what the scenes are down to its purest thing, right? Without
Mm,
much description at all. So
mm.
it's interesting, like structuring a novel as a screenplay and then coming back and filling in the description. That's really cool. What a cool idea.
Yeah, I wonder.
You wonder.
I wonder.
Now's the time, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any last questions for Amy, we're actually out of time, Amy, which is pretty remarkable. I feel like I could talk to you for a very long time. Yeah, I know. It always goes by too
Fun.
quick. But if you have any favorite questions from the evening, or if you want to scroll back up through the chat,
Yeah,
maybe
okay.
remind
There's a
yourself,
lot.
there is. Anna actually said that that Ruins has already got lead actors named on it. I
Mm,
didn't know that. I thought it was all. Oh, so Can I ask? I thought this was all
yeah.
secret scroll.
So Emma will be Vanessa Kirby. So she was
Hi,
in The
Vanessa Kirby.
Crown.
Yeah, that's
If you're a
awesome.
fan of The Crown, that's where I know her from because I absolutely loved her Princess Margaret. It was amazing. Um, and Sebastian Stan is playing Julian, and he,
What?
yeah, he.
That's insane.
I actually think that they are perfect for it.
I was just
I
gonna say,
just,
what a perfect cast. I don't
yeah,
think you come up with a better cast. That's amazing.
yeah. I couldn't believe it when they were both interested in it, and I got to meet them, which is like something that I'll bring up if anyone will ever let me. I'll always bring it up. I got
Sorry,
to.
my face is of a jealous man. I'm jealous. That's amazing. Did you get lots of photos? Were you super nerdy
Oh
about it?
no, no, not in person, unfortunately. Just from my living room and my computer.
Did you not do a sneaky screenshot of the Zoom call or whatever?
I imagine, and then it comes up, and they say, "I'm sorry, we're gonna have to end this call because you just took a photo and you
Amy's
didn't have
being a bit
permission."
awkward. That would be funny. That's
No,
amazing. I'm so happy for you. That's cool. What a cool idea. Is there a director attached?
no, no director yet. So that'll be it goes script first,
Yep.
script approval, and then green lit, hopefully. I
Yep.
think maybe, and then director or director
Right.
first. I'm not sure.
So you
I
have
think
the talent attached. I thought it was always director would then go to casting and then cast the actors they want, but you've got
yeah,
people championing it from who will sell the movie. That's huge. It should get made. It'll get made.
I yeah, I mean, this is what my internal dialogue sounds like all the
Yeah.
time is it should
Amy,
get it'll get made. It
it's
should get
gonna get
made. It
made,
should get I won't I
100%.
just can't think about it.
Fair enough. Did you have
Yeah.
a favorite question you wanted us
Oh, I
to?
haven't even
What?
really looked.
I'll give you a second while we wrap up. Um, guys, thank you for being part of Libby Reads with Ben Hobson. It's been awesome, Amy. You've been so fun to talk to. I loved getting into your process, and the book was great to read. Um, I want to also thank all the attendees for being here tonight and being a part of it. It's always awesome to have you here. Um, Next month, I normally have the book ready to show people, but I've spun my whole office around, so I've mucked everything up. But we're reading Learn Behaviors next month and I've got to work on the pronunciation of the name, Zainab Gamildian. So that looks like a really interesting book, but I'll post all information on the Facebook. If you're part of the Facebook group, Libby Reads with Ben Hobson, you'll get all the information. But if you're a first timer, we'd love to have you back. But Amy, you've got your favorite question. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I like this question. It says, what would have slash could have happened if they'd had couples therapy? Because I think that opens up a whole different
Oh,
look.
Marlies. Yeah, imagine they'd just gone and actually had therapy and then communicated and
They probably would have broken up,
you know
maybe.
what? It would have just maybe fast forwarded to the end of the book a little bit, huh?
Yeah, Lena would be okay, and yeah.
I actually wanted to talk to you about that because I thought it was so wonderful how even in the epilogue where they were mostly happy, both of them were still a bit haunted by her death. Like you didn't just let that be. Oh, we didn't, you know what I mean? They carried a bit
Mm.
of guilt. It felt really human, I thought. That was really wise of you to put that there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I wanted them because of their privilege to come out the least scathed, but I didn't
Hmm.
think it was fair that anybody should get what they want, and so nobody got what they want, really.
Yeah, everyone had to compromise in the end. Um, Marlies Lagerberg. Why do I feel like you've won before? Am I wrong? I feel like you always ask good questions. But Marlies, can you please, and I'll type my website. Yeah, see, Marley,
Oh,
I knew she won.
okay. Too good at asking questions.
We can send it to her though. I mean, she did. I mean, let's be honest. She had a really good one there. Do you want to look again, Amy, or do you want to?
Yeah, I'll have another look.
All right, Marlies, you shouldn't have been honest. What were you doing? You're too nice. Did you win last month as well? Right? I've got the right person. Yeah. Well, look, Marlies, let's just call, even if Amy's choosing someone else, but let's just say that you have now got two for two. All right? You're on a streak. Tell you what, if you get no telling the guest next month, Marlies, but if you get the one next month, I'll send you a copy of some of my books. I'll send you two as well as an extra incentive to get the triple stack. Amy, have you got another one picked?
I like, how do you deal with negative feedback knockbacks on your work? Because I feel like that is a really good question, that authors, I think, often hope they get asked because it gives them an opportunity to say that they don't care what anyone else thinks, actually, which is not entirely true.
Uh,
But
we're sensitive authors who are empathetic and we feel things sometimes, right?
yeah, and I think I have learned a lot about this since publishing my first book. And the
Hmm.
conclusion that I've come to is that none of it's personal. It's not about me. Me and my work is separate. And it's much like life. Not everyone will like you, so not everyone will like your work.
Mm.
Can't win everyone. I'll just keep speaking in platitudes, basically.
Preach. That's what I was gonna say. Preach. I,
Yeah.
I hear you. Yeah.
It's something that I occasionally feel like I've completely gotten on top of, and I genuinely feel like I've rose above caring at all what other people think. And that is such an amazing feeling when I feel that way. So I'm
Mm.
kind of glad to go through the process of putting a piece of art out into the world and hearing what people think about it, just so that occasionally I can flex that muscle that I now have, which is that I don't care as much.
That's great.
Yeah.
So it centers you and emboldens you. That's awesome. Man, I'm
Yeah.
gonna take that. That's healthy. That's really good. Lynette Williams, congratulations. I feel like Lynette's won before too. Correct me if
Oh,
I'm wrong. No, it's fine. She didn't win last month, I don't think, so it's fine. But Lynette, can you please send an email to my email, which you can find at benhobson.net, and send me your address that way, and we'll get you a copy of Ruins. But thank you, Amy, so much for tonight. Thanks for being here, everybody.
thanks
And
for
we
having me. Thanks
and
for all
we
the questions.
we'd love to have you back for the next thing, and you can bring your friends Sebastian, Stan, and Vanessa Kirby. That would be cool too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Please do invite me back whenever.
Of course. All right. Thank you,
Thanks, Ed.
guys. Thanks for a good night. Bye.
Bye.